As cities increasingly stretch across Arizona's desert, animals are finding their homes divided by roads frequented by deadly cars. The Phoenix metropolitan area gained 4 million people since 1970, meaning more roads, more houses, and less habitat for wildlife. This video explores the impact of urbanization on wildlife from 8 Phoenix neighborhoods that are part of the Central Arizona Project long-term ecological study, also known as CAP-LTER. The study neighborhoods are classified by socioeconomic gradient and landscape coverage. For instance, U21 is wealthy, with a median household income of $182,839. Though the houses are close together, a wide desert expanse surrounds the neighborhood, which borders the South Mountain Nature Preserve. U18, in contrast, is impoverished, having a median household income of $75,864. The area lacks vegetation. Instead, dirt lots fill the space, and roads surround the neighborhood. Power is the largest neighborhood, yet also the most affluent and the most urbanized. Roads can be found almost everywhere within the study area's boundaries, and the median household income is $228,456. To calculate road coverage, I selected 2 random areas of the neighborhood and counted whether there was significant road presence within each grid square. For example, here is a road-dense segment of the Power neighborhood. In this particular sample, 86 of the 109 grids, or 46%, contain significant road presence. This evaluation is based on quadrat analysis, which is a type of survey that takes samples from a large area to approximate the whole. For my research, I chose 2 randomly sampled areas from opposite ends of each neighborhood, then found the average of the results to estimate the neighborhood's total road coverage. This data was then paired with traffic count information collected by municipal and county websites. For example, this is a traffic count map for the city of Tempe, where the low-income X17 neighborhood is located. As we zoom in, we can see that 5th Street is a boundary road with average daily traffic of 4,389 vehicles. For the purpose of the study, I only took the metric of one adjoining road, as not all neighborhoods had multiple adjoining traffic counts. Roads overtake habitat, block access to food and resources, and teem with deadly vehicles. With roads causing environmental impacts to around 20% of the United States' total land area, it is clear that these effects are widespread. Road ecology strives to understand and quantify the ecological effects of roads to mitigate negative effects like habitat loss, wildlife mortality, and pollution from noise, light, and chemicals. Current research shows that areas with more roads and traffic have fewer animals due to the challenges roads cause. However, neighborhood road systems remain an understudied area. Based on my research, income does not determine whether a particular neighborhood has greater or lesser road coverage, nor is income related to the amount of traffic near a neighborhood. In contrast, research shows that Phoenix neighborhoods experience a luxury effect, where there is less diversity in wildlife species in poorer areas compared with wealthier ones. This effect does not carry over into roads, so affluent neighborhoods do not necessarily contain less road coverage than an impoverished area. However, rich neighborhoods in Phoenix generally have more trees and vegetation, as wealthy residents can afford the water cost in central Arizona's dry climate. For instance, samples from the study neighborhoods show noticeably less vegetation in poorer areas compared with affluent ones. Yet, roads do not relate to how much vegetation is in a neighborhood. Instead, yards and surrounding parks are more important in this factor. Particularly in affluent neighborhoods, wildlife-certified yards contain the most species richness, that is, the most number of different species. Moreover, this yard type tends to feature different animals between yards compared with regular lawns. In contrast, High-input lawns in Phoenix will typically invite the same few species: great-tailed grackles, rock pigeons, and house finches, resulting in a homogeneous collection of animals. Yet, a Phoenix area survey shows that the majority of yards contain more than just grass, as only 2.3% of Phoenix yards are lawn only. The remaining question is whether neighborhood road presence impacts urban wildlife. Road ecology explains that roads harm wildlife in a variety of ways, but because neighborhoods are self-contained, with other landscape factors like yards, water, and parks, roads may be a trivial consideration within neighborhoods. From my research, neighborhood road coverage does not affect how many birds are present, nor does the number of vehicles impact the total number of birds or the number of bird species. However, there is a definite negative relationship between number of bird species and road presence. In neighborhoods with more road, there will be less variety of birds. Yet, this result likely has little to do with roads and more with yards and the luxury effect. Because neighborhood road presence is unrelated to amount of vegetation, but because vegetation is related to income, a better explanation is that wealthy areas feature more vegetated yards to host more bird species. In this wealthy neighborhood, for instance, there is moderate road coverage, but its presence is balanced out by the house's grassy lawns with food, trees for shelter, and also a pond for water. This low-income neighborhood features more road coverage, yet has fewer grassy lawns, resulting in an indirect relationship between neighborhood road presence and species richness. However, there is insufficient local research on how neighborhood roads affect other taxa. My own study lacks data for non-avian wildlife. In summary, neighborhood roads do not significantly affect bird presence or species richness. Instead, other land use factors, like lawn type, have greater influence over what animals are present in an area. Unlike public roads and highways, neighborhood roads are self-contained, so they lack the same degree of damaging environmental effects. As an upside, these findings show that it is possible to invite wildlife into one's neighborhood if yards have more diversity of vegetation and if surrounding areas contain dedicated natural spaces with native plants. It is also important to consider how low-income neighborhoods can invite more wildlife and native vegetation into their spaces, such as by growing desert plants and transforming local empty plots into community nature spaces.